when I was dreaming up this movie, this is how I always imagined it being experienced. And so it really just means so much that you are all a part of that. You're in for a treat. I don't want to say too much about the movie because we're going to have a conversation after. It's partly why I want to get started, so we have more time for that. But I did just want to thank you for coming and watching the movie with an audience and watching it on the big screen, watching it in the cinema. Because you know when you go to a movie and somebody's laughing at a really inappropriate time, and you're kind of like, what's so funny? What is that? What are they laughing at? And then like 10 minutes later, you realize, oh, that was funny. So this is that movie. It's called Our Hero Balthazar. I hope you enjoy it. We'll talk after the show. Thank you so much. Enjoy cinema. All right. Incredible. Thank you so much. I'm Oscar Boyson. I'm the co-writer, director, producer. Thank you. I'm really touched. Thank you. We have an incredible part of the team. She's one of our producers. She so generously connected this movie with you all, so many fans here. So now I'm going to bring out Halsey.
Holy shit. And I couldn't talk for like a couple minutes. So I'm glad you're cheering. It's a really good sign. Yeah, this is great. I think, what do you want to do?
This is the largest crowd that has ever seen the movie together.
It actually is, I think. I think that, as far as sellouts in this theater go, this is like a really special one. And as you guys know, this is an indie film, and this is how movies are meant to be seen, is on screens like this, in rooms full of lots and lots of people. And I wish I was in here when you were watching it, because it's one of the best parts of having a film like this showing is getting to watch people's reaction to certain parts and engaging certain things, and you've seen it over and over again.
Yeah, but I usually don't watch, but tonight I had to watch, and I was in the back there listening, and it was great.
Yeah, it's like, in the initial stages, getting to take some friends and family to see it, you have this moment, where you're like holding the seat at certain moments that are really funny or really shocking, and waiting to see people's reactions, and getting those moments of laughter, those moments of, hell yeah, we made a fucking movie. Yeah, it's a great feeling.
It's also just incredible to walk around the theater because you can hear you guys.
Yeah.
I can hear Joke Land. I can hear, it's outside too.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so, obviously it's so different from what I do for a living, because I'm on stage, engaging the crowd the entire time. And I do think there's like a similar anxiety though in when you really want something to land and you're not sure if it's going to, or you're waiting to see like who's the loudest crowd, what's their loudest reaction to something. I love when you get to hear an audience react really rambunctiously to something, and you kind of, especially with a movie like Our Hero Balthazar, you get to go, wow, this is a room of sickos. Let's see some real sickos here tonight. Hell yeah, these are our people. But I'm just so glad that you guys came out and got to support the film. And Oscar is just so incredible, and I know he he gave you a long list of credits when he first came out here, his involvement in the film, and there's absolutely zero part of this that he didn't touch and he didn't incept and concept and execute, and it's incredible.
Let me also add that when you make when you first get excited about your idea and you write the script and you have to think, oh, this is going to be like a hit, you have to think that everybody's going to like your movie, because how else are you going to go on, right? And you go out and you show it to all the people that you're supposed to show it to. People tell you that they might be the ones who are going to give you money, and everybody is like, good script, man, but there's no way in hell I can ever give you money to make this. And then you find somebody like Halsey,
a real sicko.
and it takes like 2 hours. It's like, I love it, let's do it. Which is, I feel like you're made to believe that certain people take like 2 weeks or a month to make up their mind. And the reality is, like, most of us, we know how we feel about something pretty quickly. And
you know what you connect with, yeah.
Yeah. So, but there weren't that many people who were like, I love it, let's do it, let's go. That was the first impression that you made on me, and thank you so much, because I know how authentic it was.
Listen, that script was the first impression you made on me, so I feel like that's saying something. Yeah, I think, I definitely really, I connected with it intensely, because I think that, art like this is, you're getting to do something that's so engaging and exciting, and it's topical, and it's brave, and it's risky, but you're Trojan horsing, so many real emotional moments into the film. And in my own mediums, I'm a real fan of genre blending, and I think that translates into this format in the best way. I mean, the reason I do it actually is because I'm inspired by the way that it translates in this medium. So, when I read the script and got an idea of what your path to execution was going to be, the way you saw it, the way you envisioned it, I mean, I was blown away when I saw it for the first time, because I'm gonna nerd out here for like a second, but movies don't exist without a great story to anchor them, and without incredible actors, to bring those stories to life and to really, really execute them. But I was just so enamored by the filmmaking that was taking place. Like, there's shots in this movie that are way too beautiful. They're just way too gorgeous and stunning, and it's no small feat to pull that off, and to also keep that pace and to keep that energy. And I really feel like this myriad of influences and genres and styles came together and made something just truly unique here in this film, and you can feel it on the page right away. And I don't know if any of you guys in here are aspiring filmmakers, or you want to story. Exactly, yeah. Woo! Hell yeah. We need you right now, big time. But you can tell, which is why I think I knew right away. You can tell when somebody's going to be able to take that vision all the way. I think it shows up on the page in the initial screenplay, and yeah, I mean, I'm just going to continue waxing poetic until we maybe open up some questions, because
don't you think, for some reason, I feel like in music, it's I don't know if it's our expectations or it happens more often. It's more mainstream. It kind of shifts from one genre to another, and we don't say anything. It's not like, oh, this song is weird because it starts one way and it ends another. Whereas in movies, I feel like there's a thing of what's always coming up of, like, especially when you're trying to sell it. What is it? Is it this? Is it a comedy? Is it a thriller? Is it a drama? What is it? It's like, hey, whatever you want it to be, it can be that if you cut the check.
Yeah, that's true. I also think it depends on the audience. I think it depends on who's receiving it, because for all of you in this room, you might have interpreted this film in a really different way. It's like, I think, like, some of us deal with serious subjects with humor. I know I certainly do, like, a lot. I think that humor and dark comedy is an important it's an important tool to have in really uncertain times, you know, and I think it certainly is, you know, for this generation and for all of us who are coming of age with media that's documenting all the crazy things that are happening to us. It's like, sure, there is a path of melodrama, but there's also what really connects, which, you know, for those of you in the room, a lot of you look like you're like Gen Z or young millennials, is like, it's comedy, you know what I mean? Like, it has to be comedy. We have to be able to kind of take a satirical approach to what's going on, and I do it in my own personal life, and you know, I think that I think that the genre blend of that is what makes this film so unique, and that every person can have a different experience. Because there have been people in my life that have come to see the film where they have walked away, and I've been like, haha, right? And they've been like, oh my god. And it was quite an intense experience. And I'm like, no, it was funny. And they're like, that wasn't funny. I'm like, right, okay. And then, you know, there's some people who walk away, like this is such a weird example, but I have two little brothers, and one of them is 26 and one of them is 21. I might have gotten one of their ages wrong there. Don't put that on the internet. I'm gonna be in trouble. And they came out in LA to see one of the premiere screenings in LA, and when we got back to the house afterwards, I was like, you know, so, like, what do we think? And my youngest brother was, he was like, that shit was fucking hilarious. Yeah, he was like, that was fucking awesome, it was so fucking funny. And he's 21, you know, so he was in high school during COVID, and he's grown up in a world where there's been, you know, threats called into his school, he's going through metal detectors, going into class, and, you know, he's living on the internet in this era, and he was like, that cracked me up. And then my younger brother, he's a little bit more sensitive of a guy, you know? He doesn't really watch provocative media. He likes stuff that makes him feel good. And I thought, yeah, I know, I'm gonna go watch this movie. And, you know, he was like, man, that was some fucked up shit. And I was like, but did you like it? He was like, I really liked it, but man, that was some fucked up shit. And I was just watching the two of them have this interaction and you know, absorbing the material in that way. It was really cool, because if I sent them off into the world to go market the film or sell the film to other people, they would both be describing a very different movie. Both loving it nonetheless, but having such a different experience. And I think that's an absolute success. Like, that's a miracle.
Absolutely. And sometimes I feel a little bad doing the, like, it's that movie where you hear somebody laughing at an inappropriate time, because I couldn't resist with this big of a crowd. But I don't, you know, it's kind of a slippery move, because the movie starts, and at least I was hoping you kind of feel like it's going to be one of those movies that is making fun of rich people, and you're laughing, and then you go to Texas and you see Solomon, and it's kind of like, I dare you to laugh at this guy.
Devastating, you know?
Yeah. And that's when the heart of the movie really starts to get underneath you. And,
totally.
And just because it starts one way doesn't mean that if your heart was broken by Solomon, I think that was absolutely what we were trying to do, and to get you to make two characters who, even if they're flawed, are both accessible.
Totally.
Yeah.
You make them really nuanced with a really small amount of time, you know, like just over 2 hours it seems like a long time, but it's not a lot of time to get exposition down, and to, especially with these types of characters, is to show really how nuanced they are, and to make you love them in some ways and hate them in some ways and sympathize them in some ways, and they both represent such different aspects of kind of the, you know, forgive me, but like, you know, the toxic masculinity, you know. And I think every character is kind of showing their contribution to the culture in other ways too, beyond the two main characters, you know, like, we talk a lot about, we were talking a lot about Avan's part in the film, and scary. Scary. For me, that was scary. I was like, who the fuck is that? But I was also like, I would, you know. At the same time, which says that there's a lot more wrong with me, I think, but anyway.
The best take on Letterboxd I saw was, I would totally let Avan Jogia give me thrush.
Oh my god. I want that in a t-shirt. That's really good. I love that. Yeah, I mean, it was, also you guys have to remember, this guy's like a Canadian, like he's a really sweet person, and he's doing this like, Texan accent and all this stuff. But the reason I bring him up is kind of because, he's separate from the two main characters, he's playing an older guy, but the thing that he is selling to this audience and, the lie that he's perpetuating, it plays a part in that culture in and of itself, and you don't really need to know all that much about him. Obviously, you hear about this tragic event that happened to him and his cousin that connects back to, the events that center the film. But you don't need to know that much about him. But you have to make sure that you land all those moments, and those moments are also reinforming that exposition of those two main characters. All this to say, 2 hours is not a lot of time, and you make those characters so fully realized and so compelling that, like, I'm like #1 feminist in the world, right? Which is so funny. I mean, being vaguely sarcastic because like nobody can really be, but I feel like most people, if you meet them on the street, you're like, what do you know about Halsey? Most people will be like, I feel like she's kind of like, woke. But, I still found myself so often just feeling really bad for both of these guys. Feeling terrible for the both of them. And every bone in my body wanted to be like, nah, fuck them. Like, don't feel bad for them. But I did. I had such sympathy for both of them. And it broke my heart like he was my own fucking son. To see Solomon laying there, in the pavement like that. And that's a home run. That is just an absolute home run. Welcome to this is the Q&A where I just talk about how much I love my favorite movie.
But it is the performances and the actors in this movie. I got so lucky and feel so proud of them all. And I wish they were here. But
so transformative. Yeah, guys, give it up for Ehle and Jaeden. A lot of people say that they didn't recognize Ehle until like my youngest brother actually said that to me afterwards. He's like, I was like 45 minutes in the movie, and I was like, I thought he was in this film. Holy! That was like one of the coolest transformations I've seen of an actor his age, like a young actor. I remember when I got set photos, like stills, I was like just speechless. I mean, and I've seen you guys do other Q&As where you've talked about their character, like their contribution to the character creation, and their commitment to it, I think, is what really makes it, so compelling. Jaeden is so scary. It's like sometimes, like when I'm talking to him, I'm like, "Are you really a sociopath?" I can't. And he's not. I'm gonna go off record and say he's not. I hope that doesn't bite me in the ass later. But their commitment to the character creation is just it's so amazing. And I love Ehle so much. My son's name is Ender, and I named him after his character in Ender's Game. Yeah, so it's like really full circle moment getting to work with him. But they're just And he's also from a place where I feel like they can't really conceive of something like this happening also, he didn't grow up in good old American schools, so it's really cool to see his outside interpretation of that type of character, I think. Yeah. No, I mean, he it's like he showed up with so much, and I just immediately had a crush on him, because when you've written this stuff and you don't exactly know how it's going to play out, and then for someone to bring that kind of effort and energy and care, I was just so touched, and because then everyone else can see, wow, this guy, he's on another level. Like I want to be in that movie too. Yeah, I mean, my nose burns even just like talking about him, because I immediately get so. He's also so sweet. Like he's so he's such a sweet person.
And that was like the conversation that when we first met and said, I was like, do you want to do this? It was about, I was like, well, you're a really sweet guy. That's how people feel about you. Do you want to try to subvert that? Because you can. Not all actors can do that. Some actors don't have that kind of sweet, tender puppy dog thing. So we make, I don't know, we see them and we make a first impression that it's not like this guy is sweet. He was so excited about that, which immediately we were seeing eye to eye, and it's like, this is going to be great.
Yeah, that natural sympathetic nature I think he has when it shows up in Solomon is so essential, you know, because it is what makes you sympathize with him so much. And it also just, you were so tasteful, I think, with the way you built his personality and his backstory, because it's very easy to heavy-hand something like this, you know, like this type of character, as if we all know the cliche of like the incel guy. And some of those cliches are true and real for a reason. But it would have been really easy to turn that into like a Halloween costume, like a caricature of that type of character, and you didn't. Like, even when you get into his house and you understand his plight and the family he comes from, and like
his relationship with his grandma.
Oh my gosh, yeah, his relationship with his father. You know, you start to see why he has this inferiority complex, and you know, also why he has the relationship that he has with Balthazar, which is he's craving a meaningful male relationship in some capacity. And I find that this is like really common too in men that don't grow up with meaningful male affection around them, as they start to misunderstand it when it starts happening, right? So that's where it either goes violent, or it's used homoerotic, or it's used like, you know, however the way that it is happening between the two of them, and it's just immediately evident when you go and step into his world for the first time. And also, like, you know, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I felt personally attacked by the off-brand Danny Phantom stuff. Because I was that type of kid. And I was like, does Oscar know something that I don't know? Like, is this like a known fact amongst people that if you like are really into Danny Phantom or Danny Phantom adjacent character that you are maybe a sociopath? Because I'm finding out something about myself right now in real time that I don't know that I necessarily want to know. The jury's still out, I guess.
I had no idea how many fans Danny Phantom had.
Hell yeah. He had that sexy little goth girlfriend. Come on. It was made for me. It was for me. No one else. And then I saw it in the movie, I went, oh my god. I'm gonna get myself in some. I didn't actually take LSD, for the record. I have like a pretty bad like migraine, and if you've ever had one before, you know that it's like it gets to a point where it's the same as taking drugs as far as like delirium goes. But I just wanted to put the disclaimer out there. I did say in my Instagram I was going to take acid before the hearing, and it sounds like I did, so I just have to clarify that I did not. We should do questions for sure, right?
Next time.
Yeah. Hell yeah! You guys, we still have another 800 cap theater. I'm definitely going to take a tab of acid next time.
Should we open up for some questions?
Yeah, I would love to. Oh, I want to just preface this by saying, I know you guys are going to want to ask a lot of questions. If we can keep it as close to the film or about, you know, maybe there's more generalized questions about, you know, the process and the creative process, our relationship, any of those types of things. But I personally don't really want to answer any questions about, like, my relationship or any new music, because I don't actually have an answer for you. So, spoiler alert, waste of your time. I'm actually quitting music to just finance all of Oscar's films for the rest of my life. It's going a lot better than music, so we're gonna keep that going. But yeah, so if you guys just be respectful of the situation at hand, we're here to celebrate the film, and let's do some questions.
I was at the and you guys were talking a little bit about how you're having trouble when you were auditioning for the film, and then when how you loved it. So what was your pitch that made you love it?
That's a good question. Okay, I don't know if you guys can hear, but the question was, what's your name?
Alan.
Alan? Okay, so Alan was at the other Q&A that we did, and Oscar was talking about how, he was pitching the film to varying degrees of success, and then he pitched the film to me, and the question was, how did you pitch the film? What made me want to be involved in it? I don't know that it was really pitched. I feel like the material just kind of spoke for itself, like I had heard, some other projects that you'd been involved in, and I knew you had like cut your teeth in like a really meaningful way, and I read the script, and I learned about the package, the actors that were involved, and yeah, it really was kind of just the words on the page. I gotta be honest with you. I get pitched a lot of movies like pretty frequently, and sometimes the pitch does matter. I will say, like it definitely can matter. And I've also pitched projects of my own, so I know how the pitch works. But I will say, before I read the script, I remember Anthony, my manager, bringing it to me, and he was. I'm paraphrasing here, so if I quote you incorrectly, I'm really sorry, but something along the lines of, it's a dark comedy about a school shooter, and I was like, tell me more. And to your comment earlier, well, actually I think it was a bit more in depth than that. It was kind of you were like, it's about this sociopathic kid who essentially tries to. You gave me the summary, but I to your point before, it's like here you have to wait weeks to hear back from someone sometimes. I knew that I was probably all in on the summary. The script being excellent was just a complete, that was a value add, obviously, but it was just such a unique premise, and I'm like a really selfish creative in that 99% of the time when I collaborate with someone or I support someone else's project or get involved, it's because I'm having the feeling of, God damn it, I wish I fucking thought of that. You know what I mean? So it's like when someone puts an idea in front of me, I'm like, fuck, I wish I had that idea. That's like how I felt about this,
Yeah, and I think you immediately got what, because it's a taboo subject, or at least the idea of the school shooter, especially like whenever something bad happens, or even if it doesn't, when a shooting, it's like the media immediately turns these people into monsters, and it's always the story after, right? And we never talk about how these people, often are kids too, right? And I just don't think that what they're going through is so alien and so unrelatable. And obviously, like, I don't think Solomon ever would have shot up a school.
Sure.
I don't, but the feelings that get him to a place where he's going online and telling people that he's going to, I think are completely relatable, but the media would have you believe that they're not,
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think especially at that age, and when you're coming of age in a world that's being unfair, unkind to you, I think that like something that was really common when I was in high school was the concept of self-harming. So it was like a lot of conversation around self-harm and a lot of focus on like the why of it all. And I feel like in a way it's not a dissimilar mental state, that conjures it, which is like you're dealing with a pain that you can't name or explain or identify, and so you need to create you need to manifest a tangible manifestation of that pain. And what it really comes down to is like hurting yourself versus hurting others. And there's I think there's a lot of opinions to be had about one of them being the more selfish way to go. But it does come from a place of, and this is what I was saying to you, where I was like, every bone in my body wanted to be like, fuck these kids. And I just had so much sympathy, for how you end up in a situation like that, either of them, and getting a glimpse behind the curtain, feasibly, of how something like that would go, and how it could snowball out of control like that.
Or how with better people around him and someone to give him a hug, Solomon could have gotten through like this tricky time and been okay. Right?
more resources, more safety, like, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're right, it is more, with the initial pitch being what it is, you know, like, haha, it's a dark comedy about a kid who maybe did a school shooting, like, it's really not, obviously, there's so much more underneath that. That's so sorry, that was your question.
The thing that happens is like, as you get further along, you start to, it's like, it's too late, but you realize exactly how you should be pitching it. Like, I feel like I just kind of figured it out. Like, if I was gonna pitch it to you tomorrow, I'd be like, Halsey, I wanna make a movie that makes you feel the way you felt when you were 14 and you heard Nine Inch Nails for the first time.
That's such a good pitch. And it's so true. It's so true, because it does, makes you feel like, I'm fucking angry. I'm angry and nobody understands me and I'm fucking tough. I just really want to be loved. I want to be loved so bad. That's what it feels like to listen to Nin. Shout out our Nin shirt right there. Yeah. No, 100%. That's so great. That is how you should have pitched it to me.
That's a sequel.
Also, that would have been a cheat code for me, you know that. That would have been just a Halsey cheat code. Alright, let's do another question. Hi. Hi, Cameron.
Sorry. So I'm going to be very alert. I work in the industry and I do subtitles for various movie studios. I was telling you about this at the last Q&A. And I'm just curious, because I do all the after part, about the before part, specifically for subtitles, if that's something you guys, or audio description in general, that's making it accessible, if that's something that you guys think about in the process, or during the script making, or anything like that.
That's for you.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I will say, I think often about Tony Scott's movie, Man on Fire. Anybody? Because the subtitles in that movie are stylized. And I would like to do that one day. Yeah. Yeah, that feels like next level. I mean, it took him like 12 movies before he got there. But, I aspire to it. Yeah.
No, that's such a good point, and it's definitely important to think about including that, and like, you know, in the same way that you're mixing sound, or in the same way that you're coloring a film, you know, I was thinking about the subtitling, and if you want to stylize it, making it another, what's the word I'm looking for, just like another facet of the film that has your creative touch, you know, your creative blessing and input to make it more part of the world. And the famous, like Kubrick famously did, you know, All Work and No Play, Thanks Jack a Dull Boy, and he shot it in every language so that every print would be able to have the same effect in whatever language it was, in Spanish or French, and you know, I think that's pretty cool. Yeah,
Kind of.
I think also you know, I think that it's becoming such a more, like a more prevalent part of the film watching experience, you know? It's like most people I know, even if they have like the totality of their hearing ability, are watching things with subtitles on, so I wouldn't be surprised if I see us trending in the direction where filmmakers and people who are making content are stylizing it and thinking about it in like a very specific way, because it's becoming it's becoming like a standard part of watching something, actually. And I know, like, when I'm watching something, the subtitles are blocking out the screen, or they're not accurate, like they're not linking up with the real experience and our emotionally. You're like, if I did them, they would be perfect. Good to know. Listen, I admire that dedication and enthusiasm, because I agree with you. I think everybody deserves to get the full emotional capacity of a piece of media. You know, I'm on stage sometimes, and you know, most of my shows we have a sign language interpreter next to me when I'm on stage performing, and people ask me all the time. You know, they're like, "Why is someone coming to a concert if they can't hear the music?" And I'm like, "Oh, because there's so much more to it than that." You know, the experience is, there's so much more to it, and I love when I can really tell that I have someone who spent time with the material and is really connected to it, and they're executing it in a way where we feel like we're kind of like in lockstep. You know, it's like one of my favorite things ever. So yeah, I bet we're gonna catch up. Like this part of the industry is gonna catch up to that like very, very soon. I foresee. You're interacting next time. You know, cool font and weird colors.
But also, we played when we played the movie in many countries at this point. It does make me want to have less dialogue because you're sitting with like a bunch of Italians, and this is a pretty dialogue makes this movie hum, you know. And I would just be like, gosh, maybe I didn't need that line. I could have made it just visual. That's what cinema's about. So.
Yeah, but even if you did that, I feel like there's a chance that your actors on the day would have just started like, you know what I mean? Like, it's gonna happen how it happens, you know?
All right, we gotta be quicker.
Yeah, sorry, shit.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, thank you for raising Halsey.
Hey, listen, I'm sorry for how that went. You seem like a lovely person, so maybe I did like an okay job, but.
That's right. Lovely movie. I noticed when I was watching it that between the soundtrack and the color grading, the movie itself is like very clearly has its things. It felt very like the 80s or 90s. Was that intentional on your part? Like, was that something you were building in when you were writing this and like, starting to put together the pitch decks and the visual aspects? And like, what was some of the imagery you had going through your mind as you were transferring this from pitch to screen?
The questions about how the movie feels like it could be maybe from the 80s or 90s aesthetically. I think I'm just a 90s kid. I can't help it. You know, this is the decade that made me want to be a filmmaker, and all these movies are in my DNA. So I don't have more contemporary references.
It's you know, in a way, it's also a coming of age film, and I think we like subconsciously associate that so much with those eras, you know. So it's like, you know, the bond between the boys and the humble beginnings of Solomon, and it does translate that way. It is very timeless. The other reason why I feel like you could maybe be set in the 90s is because it looks really good, and most stuff looks like shit right now. I'm just being totally honest. Not most stuff. That's something I fucking love movies. There's amazing filmmakers right now, but like, you know, everything is so dark. So it's either so dark or it's so flat. And it's, you know, everyone's just throwing up lights for the sake of lights. The lights don't have a purpose. They're just like, we can afford a lot of lights, so here's a lot of lights. You didn't do that, thank God. That's why it looks beautiful. And so part of the reason it feels timeless is because it looks fucking beautiful, you know? And so we relate it to, like, oh, when films used to be better. Right. It's from that time. And so, you know, I'm gonna, I have to bow down to Oscar in that regard.
I mean, like Greg Araki movies, Gus Van Sant movies,
For sure.
Larry Clark movies, Nick Winning Refn early movies, Lars von Trier.
Yeah, I think all those influences are like really, really there. Everybody says that's how they're gonna make a movie when they make a movie, and it's so rare that someone can actually pull it off, and you did. And I just like, I think that's it's pretty incredible. We'll wear my I Love Oscar shirt next time. You want to do something from this side?
Hi guys, I'm Sandra. First of all, beautiful film. I'm in mental health, so that was just a needed perspective for that. There were so many moments where, like, there's moments where you focus on the pictures in his home and getting like the humanizing experience, and then also the hug at the end was like exactly. So what was the thought process to making those artistic choices?
Yeah, I mean, I want you to love him. I love him. And that scene where you see the photos and he takes care of his grandma, right? Like, how can you not love this guy? And I just love movies like that, where you're sort of made to think you're gonna feel one way about somebody, and then suddenly you find your heart or your brain kind of changing in real time. People ask a lot about like, this character needs to change in the movie, but I love movies where you change, and you find yourself changing and your relationship to a character changing. It's such a great place to be as an audience member, especially when it's somebody that is not like you, right? And you find yourself interested in them enough to be changing your opinion about them. So most of that stuff was kind of geared with that in mind. And one line of dialogue we did cut was actually when he hugs Balthazar at the end. It was scripted that he says, "I love you," and but I was just watching it again and again and again. It was like so much stronger without that. You don't need it because you can see so much on his face. And it's the best when you write something and then this guy shows up, and especially when people kind of make you feel like it's some taboo or provocative thing, and then an actor they make it human, and that's exactly what Asa did. It's such a gift to the movie.
Yeah, and it's also a testament, I think, to the teams that make movies like this happen, because you have to have incredible production designers and art directors and people on set who have gotten to know these characters and understand them and want to represent them to the fullest. Because, like you were saying about having less dialogue, you can say so much with choices like that, and somebody really skillfully minded putting the right things in the right place to tell us what we need to know about those people. And you had such a great team on this one.
Yeah, shout out to our art department, Stephen Phelps, production designer.
And wardrobe was...
Because when you pass off an idea, and you get the best people you possibly can. I've been working with Stephen since Good Time. He was the prop master on that movie. And then you just like show up and you're looking at Solomon's room and he's filled it with all this stuff that I didn't think of. And it's such it's a gift. Like, where did you find this animated mouse pad that Solomon has?
I was like, I didn't think of. I was like, apparently I did. I was like, yeah, for sure. I want all that shit. That's dope. I want all of those things. But no, yeah, and wardrobe. I mean, Solomon's wardrobe is so convincing. It's so. I grew up like I spent like a large part of my like adolescent life in New Jersey, been like going rural town. So like, somebody just goof at your Jersey. And you're like, whoa, are you from Jersey? Hell yeah! I'm like, hell yeah. Also, I was in North Jersey.
I was in South Jersey.
Okay, so you were in the cooler, tougher part, the cooler, cleaner part. I was in the northern, rural part for this time of my life. Like, Connecticut, come on. Was your
Anybody
dad,
from Maine?
Your dad a dentist? Come on. In the town that I lived in, it was like real tree camo, ride your quad prom, like total scary. I had like a shaved head. I was gay. It was weird times for me. But all the kids that I knew out there, who kind of grew up in this like amalgamation of like, are they emo? Are they like hardcore? They like rap, mostly white rappers, Monster Energy drink. They hang out with their like souped up fucking Mazda outside of the local gas station. We're really good at shop class in school, but like, just like, I fucking know that guy. I fucking know. Actually, the first time we saw him in wardrobe, Avan said to me, he went, "You dated that guy." And I was like, yeah. I dated like 3 of that guy. With Kyle, with Jack, you know what I mean? For sure.
When you got the script, did it still have Solomon's emo rap in it? Do you remember that?
Yes!
There was like a 2-page emo rap that Asa, I made him do it during the table read, and we never shot it.
I think almost like kind of like a moment of that though when Bumpy's going through the notebook and he's like, check this out, and Bumpy's like, what does he say? He says like, it's like a really emo like lyric or poem or something like that. So I was, no, not that, no. Here, the plan, the cool shit. It was like, but even just that moment, like you get this like second of him reading this, like you're like, oh, this kid writes like heart-wrenching poetry, you know. And it's like that moment enough is just like another layer of the sympathy thing. It's just like he's so real. I know him. I went to school with him. I love him. I feel so sorry for him. And then on the flip side of that, you know, I grew up that way. You know, like fucking rent-controlled housing. It was like, you know, my parents not home. And now the thing that I need to do with my life is make sure that I'm not going to accidentally raise a Balthazar. I saw him in the back of that SUV going to school, and I was like, note to self, okay. Note to self, right, that's crazy. You have a son, and you cannot let it go like that. And I was like, no designer clothes for this kid, no life coach, no indoor pool, no driver. This is crazy. So yeah, if anything, you know, me being a part of this maybe saved the fate of my child. It's yeah. It's time for one more, great.
The hardest scene to execute emotionally and technically. I think emotionally it was probably the scene at the end where Balthazar is like, stop crying, it's disgusting. Just because that was, I don't know, it felt like it couldn't be, I just really wanted to get it right, and I felt like kind of, you have this thing where these two guys are both kind of pretending to be something that they're not. They get closer, their masks come off, and I was trying to be really gradual about it and very quick about it, and other times. I had to shoot that scene really quickly, and the idea that he would, yeah, I don't know. It was just, I remember it being tough. I think I had an idea of what I wanted each character's arc to be emotionally when we started, and at a certain point I realized how complex it was. And thank God for Jaeden and Asa, because they're both guys who are going to ask questions and stick up for their characters when they feel like something isn't right, or if something feels like a betrayal of their character. And that was one where it was like, I don't know if I would say this, Balthazar, I mean, what Jaeden's doing is you kind of have to watch it a second time. What's that? And to see how nuanced some of the performances, it's a lot more passive than Ace's performance. And I feel like in that moment, I got a little complicated. I got a little bit tripped up and wasn't sure I had it right. Technically, probably the first shot, that just is something, it was like the first image that I had in my head. It's like this little boy, he's crying about how lonely he is, even though he's surrounded by millions of people. And we're gonna be looking out the window, and then suddenly we'll see his reflection, and then suddenly we'll see him. It just sounded a lot easier in my head. But I love a movie that starts with something like that kind of has, you know, this is a movie. It's the longest shot in the movie by far, and it has that kind of like, hopefully you sort of feel like anything could happen after that.
Yeah, it's also always hard, I feel like, to incorporate like social media and technology into a film without it feeling like cheesy. You know, it's a really hard thing to do. And you did it really successfully with this, because I know every time I see those overlays of like TikTok and Facebook and text messages and the bubbles and stuff pop up and stuff, I'm like, okay, I understand that this is such an important part of our life and our culture now, but it's just not sexy on film, you know, and like you did it in a way where it really plays. I don't thing I was most concerned with them shooting was that they were going to go use a bunch of local Texan extras and try to hide the fact from them that they were making fun of them, kind of. I was like, somebody's getting beat up. I really hope it's not my partner, but it's probably going to be. But they were there with like all these, Texan guys, and they're trying to sort of subvert this
When
message.
we were rehearsing that scene with Avan, like, the bar was working, there were like 10 a.m. drinkers.
People there.
Yeah. But the thing is, we did our Dallas premiere last week, and everybody, the movie played so well, I think there's sometimes, at least in New York, sometimes I feel like there's I don't know if it's a fear or like, if we go and make a movie that is in the middle of the country, people are gonna think we're making fun of them.
Sure.
And it's like, nobody cares about that. People just want to see themselves. People just want to be represented. They don't care if they're the butt of the joke. Not that they are in this, they're all right. They're not buying Solomon's Rush, But people just want to be represented. And I think that a lot of times, executives and gatekeeper types just sort of, oh no, we're gonna piss someone off. No, you'd be doing them a tremendous favor by representing them at all, I think about that a lot. With young people too, I don't blame 20-year-olds who look at what Hollywood's putting out and say, what the hell does it have to do with me? Why would I care?
Yeah, no, especially right now. There's a lot of hyperbolized representation. The fact that there's so much of this film is grounded, despite it being such a phantasmical saga and such a journey, is like it is grounded, and like I said, I literally just said I'm seeing people and I know him. That's the best feeling in the world. These people probably want to go home. Yeah, I think that Saturday night, baby. Hell yeah.
That bar scene was really hard though too, because we had live music at the same time.
And you could stop it?
Well, it
Was
just
on purpose? Sorry.
Like once you have live music, you want that for the actors because it's the energy, But the sound guys, they gotta mime, and you're like, no, that's not the same. So it creates technical issues.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean it plays though. It plays excellently. It's so grounded, so natural. Well, I'm just so honored to be a part of this, you guys, and I'm so grateful that you all are. Make sure you tell your friends about it as we, get more showings up, and as the film gets its home, and tell people about the experience. And I think that there's a certain type of film that really makes you feel something, even just when you hear about it. Like, for example, when you mentioned Good Time earlier, I clenched my whole body. Because if you've seen Good Time, you know that the film makes you feel like that. And just the mention of the name makes me feel that way. And I feel like there's a couple other films that really give you that feeling, that sense of anxiety and heartbrokenness and personal attachment. It's these are my emotional support psychos, which is how I feel about Solomon Balthazar. These are my emotional support psychos. I think this film is one that's going to sit in the pantheon of movies that make you feel that way when someone just simply even mentions it by name. And I think that we're all part of something really special at a really early stage of it, and I'm so grateful that you guys got to experience it and ask us so many questions, and it's all because of this guy right here, so.